welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at GodsFiveMinutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. Matthew 12:24 reads, "Then was brought unto him one possessed with a devil, and he healed him. And all the people were amazed, and said, Is not this the son of David? But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, This fellow doth not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of the devils." Our incredulous world never knows what to make of a man who's clearly in touch with the unseen. This ridiculous explanation admits the miraculous, recognizes the impossibility of accounting for Christ by any natural logic, and by its very outrageous absurdity, indicates that the only reasonable explanation of the facts is to admit he was from God. The glory of Jesus Christ shines, though distorted and blurred through the fogs of prejudice and malice. None of the enemies who saw his miracles ever had a doubt about their reality. Surely there were never sharper, more hostile eyes brought to bear on any man in his work than those of Jesus' enemies. Remember his repeated, solemn claim to have the power of working miracles. John the Baptist made no such claim. That man who was a perfect example of humanity, meek, lowly, humble, selfless, claimed to be able to raise the dead, to cast out demons, and to do many wonderful works. And though he did not place the stress of evidence upon that side of his work, yet he did say, "Go and tell John the things that ye see and hear." That is his own answer to the question, "Art thou he that should come?" And though there are far loftier and more blessed answers to it than these outward signs, they are signs. And to any who would ponder if Jesus is who he claimed to be, they should be part of the equation. Beyond that, think of all the beneficent, hallowing, elevating, ennobling, refining results which have followed upon the proclamation of his truth in the world ever since. It is the working of Jesus Christ in the world that has brought nobler manners, purer laws, that has given a new impulse and elevation to nobility, that has lifted the whole tone of society, that tends to suppress ancient evils and close the doors of old temples of lust and cruelty and vice, and that is still working in the world for the elevation of humanity. Are you among those who claim his salvation is a failure because it has not achieved the success of which it seems capable? Well, just as on earth he was hindered in the exercise of his supernatural power by people's unbelief, so he has been thwarted by that same cause in generations since. But yet, sorrowfully admitting that, and hearing the scoffs of those who say your Christianity does not seem to do so very much after all, we still insist its record of positively affecting human behavior is unique. This man doth not cast out demons, but by the prince of demons. That is the last resort of prejudice so deep that it will rise to any absurdity rather than yield to evidence. It's easy to solve an insoluble problem if you take the insoluble elements out of it, and that is how a great deal of modern thinking goes with Christianity. Knock out all the miracles, mock all Christ's claims, say nothing about incarnation, declare resurrection to be entirely mythology, and it's not difficult to account for the rest, and it will not be worth accounting. Any explanation it claims to account for the gospel, for the Christ of the Gospels, rather, which leaves out his coming from an unseen world and his possession of powers above this world of sense and nature, is ludicrously inadequate. Humanity is like a chain which for thousands of years has been winding through a hawse hole, with link after link of only rough iron. Then all at once here comes one of pure gold. Obviously was not dug from the same mine and forged in the same fires as the black and rusty ones. Generation after generation has passed across the earth, each begetting sons in their own likeness, and lo, in the midst of them starts up one sinless man. It's not reasonable to say that he is the product of the same causes which produced all the millions and never another like him. Have you talked to him today?
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at GodsFiveMinutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.